Well, hello everyone. ¿Cómo están todos? Esta webinar va a ser en inglés, por si acaso. Así que voy a hacer el switch ahora para todos quienes estén viéndonos en vivo. We're very excited as Meet Latam to launch GlobalPitch. That is a public-private initiative that we have built with different entities from all over the world, primarily from Africa and Latin America, where we're trying to find and select the best and brightest startups that are solving one of the Sustainable Development Goals from the United Nations. And our goal is to connect them with venture capitalists from all over the world in order to help them, one, fundraise, second, expand their companies and also their impact to all over the world. And because of that, we partner up with Extreme Tech Challenge, that is a nonprofit organization based in San Francisco, where they have been supporting entrepreneurs that are solving SDGs from different regions for the past maybe 5-6 years, more or less. And now we're partnering with them in order to find startups in Latin America and also a lot of effort in Africa as well. So today we're very excited with our official launch of this program. You will have more details in the chat box in the Facebook Live. And today we have an amazing guest speaker. His name is Jeff Hoffman. He's an award-winning global entrepreneur, proven CEO, motivational speaker, best-selling author, Hollywood film producer, and even Grammy-winning jazz album. So he has been doing like different things in different industries, an incredible career actually. He have served like a CEO both in public and private companies, and some of them that you might know is Priceline.com, Booking, Uvid, and so forth. Also, he serves on board different companies from US, Europe, Middle East, South America, Africa, and Asia. So it's truly an honor to have him as our official launch on the Global Pitch. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us today. I know that you're in the airport, so it's incredible that you also gave some time for us, and really thank you for joining today.
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you perfectly.
All right, and you can see my slides?
And it's supposed to turn out now, I believe. Yep, now we are able to see it.
All right, then I am going to jump in. We're going to talk, I'm going to spend some time talking about sort of the keys to success for startups and for entrepreneurs, and we're going to focus on what it takes to grow. Everybody that's launching any kind of business is launching it to grow it, obviously. And it doesn't matter whether you consider yourself in the money-making business or just regular business or the social business, the nonprofit business, because in all those cases, we want you to scale and grow. And as a matter of fact, a lot of companies these days that started out as nonprofits because they were more focused on solving a problem than they were trying to make money, we still want them. We're converting a lot of them to for-profits because frequently when I say to these people, sometimes they say, I'm not trying to make money, I'm just trying to help people. And we always ask them, are you trying to help 10 people or 10 million? And they say 10 million, and we say, well, then let's go make some money. Profits simply show that somebody values your product, and it gives you the ability to scale. So I'm telling you all that because the lessons we're going to go through today apply whether you are a nonprofit in a social space or not. The goal is still the same. Let's get your product to as many people as we can, and let's scale your company. And so let's jump in. That's why I called this So Keys to Explosive Growth, because we want whatever you're building to get in the hands of people all over the world. So let's start with this. And I bring this one up. And Matthias, I just want to make sure you can see the second slide now, right, about solving a real problem.
Yes. Make sure you're solving a real problem. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So let me explain that, because I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs that come to me and say, hey, look, I'm building this thing, whatever their thing is. And I say to them, who is it that wants that? And they say, well, we're going to find out As soon as we finish our product, we'll push it out into the world, and we'll see who wants to buy it or who wants to use it. And so many people are creating a product for something they think is cool. And in fact, the most successful entrepreneurs are ones that are actually solving a real problem in the world. And there's an amazing way to test. Obviously, if you're solving problems that are aligned with the SDGs, that's even easier because the SDGs were already well defined, right? We know what the specific problems are, but even so, the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, are still broad headings, and we want you to solve specific problems. And here's an amazing way to tell. If you are, and I want everybody listening that is building a product to be really honest with yourself and think about what I'm going to tell you next. As I said earlier, a lot of us are creating a product or a service. We're going to push it out into the world. And then we're going to hope somebody wants it, wants to pay for it, use it, whatever it is. But the way to tell is this. I was building a product I'm going to tell you about in a minute, one of my first products. It was not a social product to save the world. I'm just using it as an example because it was a real product. But before I show you that, when I was building my product, my phone kept ringing. And people kept saying, where's the product? I want to buy one. And I had to keep saying, okay, stop calling me. It's not finished yet. As soon as it's done, I'll call you back and you can buy one. So I want you to be very honest with yourself. Are people pushing you because they want your product? Are people checking with you as soon as they hear about your product, saying, wow, when's it done? Bothering you? Or are you pushing them? That's the way to tell when you're solving a real problem. Because if people are pushing you to get your product, then you're solving a problem they have. If you're pushing them to buy the product, then you're not really solving a problem they have. You're just trying to push them to buy something that you're selling. So let me tell you about my first product and sort of how you can tell. I was actually at the time, I'm an engineer by trade. And at the time, I was unemployed. And I quit, I'll be honest with you guys, I quit my engineering job. I had a good engineering job, and the reason I became an entrepreneur was honestly for freedom. I actually had a goal. I wanted to travel and go see the world. And where I grew up, I had a single mom, we had 4 kids. We had no money, and my job was an engineering job where I sat every day in a cubicle, and I never went anywhere. I went to the cafeteria. That was my longest trip. But my goal was I wanted to travel and go see the world. And when I would tell my friends, I want to go see the world, they said, yeah, who's going to pay you to do that? You don't have any money. And they were right. And so the reason I became an entrepreneur was because I wanted to design my own future. And I want to spend a minute on that because that is the beauty. Entrepreneurship is not a job. Entrepreneurship is a mindset. It's the mindset of saying, I won't accept the present, the way the world is now. I want to change it. I see the future that I want, and I'm going to create the world that I want to live in. I'm going to create the job that I want to have. I'm going to fix the problems that bother me. Entrepreneurs see the future, and then they take ownership. And they say, I'm going to go make it. I'm going to go make it better. I'm going to go fix it. For all of you that are working along the lines of SDGs, again, the reason you become an entrepreneur is because you're going to fix a real problem in the world. So even though this one wasn't social, the problem should match your interests. My interest in the world was traveling, but I didn't have any money, and I actually quit my job. So I went to the airport. I bought a ticket to go see my mentor. When I had quit my good job. I had a good engineering job, but I quit because I hated it every day and I wanted a better life. And so I was broke, unemployed, bought an airline ticket to go see my mentor. And when I got to the airport, the line to check in was really long. And I stood in line for an hour just to get to the front. And back then, when you checked in, all they did was look at your ID and then give you a boarding pass, right? That's just a piece of paper. It took 1 hour. And when I got up there, I said to the woman, I looked at the screen, I missed my plane. And I said, I missed my flight standing so long in this line, I didn't get a boarding card. And she said, next customer. And I said, well, ma'am, I'm talking to you. She said, next customer. And I said, well, this is ridiculous because all you're doing is looking at her ID and hitting print. Boarding card is a piece of paper printed on a printer. So why do I need to stand in line for an hour, all of us, for you to print a boarding card? And she just didn't pay attention to me. So I had nowhere to go. I'd already missed my plane, standing in the airport, and I'm looking at all the people complaining in line. And I actually said out loud to people, is this a problem for everybody? Am I the only one that's unhappy that we have to stand in line for an hour just to get a boarding card? And everybody started complaining. And so that's the first part of an entrepreneur is of solving a real problem is making sure that it's a big problem that lots of people have. But that doesn't make it a business. What makes it a business is if you have a value equation. What does value equation mean? Value equation means this. Will a lot of people in the world pay you more for the thing that you're doing than it costs you to do it? If the answer is no, then you just have a hobby. Okay? A hobby is something you spend money on that other people don't pay you to do. A business is something people are trying to give you money for because they want the thing you have. So what I did standing in the airport when everyone said, this is ridiculous, I asked people, I started saying this. I said, would anybody in this long line give me $5 if I could give you a boarding card right now and you could get on the line? And what was crazy, the way I knew I was solving a real problem, was people started bidding. They started saying, I'll give you $10, I'll give you $15, $20. I was sitting there thinking, wow, I wish I had your boarding cards. So I realized I had a real problem to solve because I was standing in it. It seemed to be bothering a lot of people, and people were willing to pay for the solution. And so I went home, and just to tell you guys, this is my first startup ever. I was 20-something years old and unemployed. But if you go into airports pretty much anywhere in the world and check yourself in a kiosk, that was my first invention. I created these kiosks so people could check themselves in, and then I sold them to airlines and airports all over the world. So I'm explaining all that to you because those are the keys to making sure that you are solving an actual problem in the world. So again, it's easier for you guys because you have the SDGs, but make sure within a major category like a sustainable development goal that you're solving a specific part of a problem that a lot of people want and people see the value in. And I want to tell you guys this. I wrote this down a long time ago, but it's one of the most important things I could probably ever share with you, and that's this: don't chase money, chase excellence. And what I mean by that is so often we want you to be profitable, but so many people are focusing too much on the money at the beginning. I've had people that were already telling me that their like startup is 2 months old and they're already looking online at new cars. And I'm like, how are you buying a new car? You haven't even built a product yet, let alone sold it. When people focus, I told you a minute ago, we want you to make money, we want you to be profitable. What I'm telling you now is the only way to do that is to be heads down, focused on excellence. You won't get paid until you build something amazing in the world. And if you do build something amazing in the world, you'll never worry about money again. Money shows up where amazing shows up. So I just wanted to share that with you. I never sat and thought about the money. What I thought about was excellence. I got to build an amazing product that really solves the problem that everybody likes and that they would pay for. But I had to focus on creating that excellent product. So don't chase money, chase excellence. The next thing I want to talk to you about is this. So many entrepreneurs that I see, this is one of the most common things I do as a mentor globally. So many entrepreneurs that I see are trying to do too many things. And I don't know, sometimes they think that they're like hedging their bet. I'll try 4 different things and one of them will work. Doing 4 different things, launching 4 products, or building 4 companies is not 4 times harder. It's 4 million times harder. Okay, and there is a reason that I use the analogy of a gold medal. I always tell people that you need to go win a gold medal at one thing. When people come up to me and say, I'm working on these 5 things, I always say the same thing. Get rid of 4 of them, pick the best one, and put all your effort into that. And the reason I use the gold medal analogy is this is a picture of a friend of mine, Michael Phelps. He's an Olympic swimmer. He has actually, I think, like, I don't know, 28 gold medals or whatever it is. But here's the thing. Michael Phelps, to win a gold medal in anything in life, does not come home, play a little basketball, um, swim a little bit, right? Then watch TV, then read a book, then go outside and ride his bike. He doesn't do 15 different things. He swims 6 hours a day, every day of his life. Winning a gold medal is really hard at anything. You're not going to win a gold medal by launching 3 different products. The best companies picked their best product. The thing they thought, so here's what I'm telling you to ask yourself. What is the thing that you think you can win a gold medal? If you have 3 ideas or 3 products, like I said, pick the one you think you're going to win. And I'm going to give you some examples to sort of show you what that gold medal thing looks like. Many of us, so way back at the beginning of the internet days, there were not very many of us building internet companies. So we used to talk a lot. I used to talk to Jeff and Pierre. They were building something called eBay. I was talking to this other Jeff, and he was building this thing called Amazon. But I'm going to tell you something that Jeff did. He dreamed that one day Amazon would become more of a marketplace of everything. But what people forget is for the first 7 years, I think, he sold nothing but books. All it was a bookseller. And what he said was, I'm going to be the best damn bookseller on the planet. Win a gold medal is something you can do better than everybody else because that's how you get known. You can add other products later, but stop trying to do it early on. We're talking today about how to grow a business. And you grow it by picking your best thing and focusing on that. So remember, they sold only books for many years. And what happened, by the way, was they were so good at it that you and I said, hey, sell me something else. Imagine having that problem. That you sell a customer something and they say, okay, thanks, sell me something else. That's what you and I as consumers did to Amazon after he won a gold medal with books. Now, unfortunately, this next company, my friend Tony Shea just unfortunately passed away tragically in a fire in the United States recently. So it's been really tough. But I used Tony's example, and I was out there actually visiting him at his home and speaking to all his Apple's employees right before COVID started last year. So again, a prayer for his family. But nonetheless, Tony said this. He said, we're going to be the best damn shoe seller on the planet. And so for years, Zappos only sold shoes. So I want you to say to yourself, you need to be the best darn something on the planet. What's it going to be? What can you be the best darn whatever? Our company, Booking.com, our company said it was going to be the best darn hotel seller on the planet. And in fact, so we stayed focused on our gold medal talent. Our gold medal is hotel rooms. And in fact, today, the company is the number 1 seller of hotel rooms in the whole world. It sells hotel rooms in 190 countries and probably, 15 or $20 billion worth a year worth of sales for only really one product, hotel room. So stop trying to do too many things. Pick one and go win a gold medal at that one thing. Now, you also need to, and by the way, again, that goes for social services, anything. If you're going to solve a drinking water problem, then don't try to propose 3 different solutions. If you've got a new filter, if you've got a water filtration, whatever it is, pick the one thing that you can be best at. All businesses need to build a brand. And a brand is important because you need to be known for something. There's lots of people in the water business. There's lots of people in the food security business. There's lots of people in whatever. You have to stand out. And you don't stand out with just marketing and advertising. You stand out with a brand. And you build a brand around something called your brand promise that distinguishes you in the marketplace. So I'm going to give you some examples of that. In the same way that I was telling you to pick your gold medal, the one thing that you can absolutely win at in the world. So here's a couple of examples. Walmart in the U.S. Walmart has never run an advertisement that says, "Come to Walmart because you see it, buy our high quality products." Walmart has never run an ad that says, "Come to Walmart because we have the best customer service." Walmart says one and only one thing. It says always low prices. They make one brand promise that you're not going to get a lower price than coming here. They don't try to sell service. They don't try to sell quality. They know what their brand promise is. Our prices are the best. That's what they do. So, it was funny because I saw a woman one day inside of Walmart, and there was an employee walking down the hall and down the aisle, and she said to the employee, this woman said to the employee, "Can you help me with something?" And the Walmart employee said, "Can you not see that I'm texting?" She was standing there with a phone. And the customer looked at her like, "Who says that to a customer?" And the employee walked away. And I said to this woman, "Did you really think you were going to get good service at Walmart?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, why do you come to Walmart?" And she said, "Because I need light bulbs and they're lower price here than anywhere else. We put up with their bad experience because of their prices." Here's the opposite. This is a high-end store in the United States, Nordstrom, right? Nordstrom's, I'm just going to tell you a quick story. I walked into Nordstrom's to buy a sweater for my sister for her birthday. And while I was walking around with the sweater, I heard myself singing this song. And I stopped. I was like, "Wait, where did I get this song?" And I turned around. There is a man with white gloves playing piano in the women's clothing department. And I was like, "What? They have a piano player in women's clothing?" So I walked back to the man. And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "What?" I said, "Who pays you to play the piano in the middle of the store?" And he pointed at the sweater I was holding. And he said, "Look at the price of that sweater. The sweater pays me." And I started laughing. And he's like, "Dude, you came to Nordstrom's. You didn't come here for cheap prices. You came here because the service is so incredible. We even have a piano player." That's their promise. It's an unbelievable service. So what you have to do is figure out what your brand promise is. And then that's the thing that distinguishes you in the marketplace. What is the one thing, and by the way, keep it to that. What is the one thing that is most different about your solution? Again, if you have a solution for water, for food, for off-grid power, for, banking, financing people outside of banking, it doesn't matter what it is. What stands out? What one thing most distinguishes your product from everybody else's? That's your brand promise. Let's go to this next part. When you're growing a business, see if I have that picture on you. When you're growing a business, too many of us have a bad habit of broadcasting. What I mean by that is if I were to ask you, who's going to use your product or your service? Many of you will tell me everyone, but none of you have the marketing budget for everyone. Okay, you can't afford to. I see a typo in this broadcasting. You can't achieve. You don't achieve rapid growth by trying to market your product to everybody. What you're looking for is, well, let me say, we all know in the sports world what fans look like, right? I can tell you about a specific day that I might get the color wrong. But I landed in Buenos Aires and I went outside showered and went outside in the morning in Argentina. And everybody was wearing, I think it was red, whatever it was, I'm probably wrong. Everybody was wearing the same color. And I was like, is there something I need to know about Argentina that everyone's wearing the same color? And they laughed and said, "No, we're playing Costa Rica today." It was football day. And they were playing a big rival country, and everybody was wearing the country's colors for football that day. Sports fans, we recognize, they look like this picture. But what you need to understand is every company, every business has fans like that. There's somebody out there that loves you, loves your company, loves your service or your product, and can't stop talking about you. So instead of trying to market your product to everybody, find these people find the fans that absolutely love you and love your business. And those are the people that are going to go out and sell for you. They're going to give you a video to put on your website that says how great you are and how great your product is. They're going to go tell other people completely on their own about your service and your product. So the next obvious question is, how do you find these people, right? How do you identify the people that are most likely to fall in love with you and your product? Because you need them out there on social media, telling everybody about your product and giving you references. You do that by this. You do that by developing something that's called customer intimacy. Customer intimacy is a lot more than customer discovery. Here's what people do in customer discovery. They do Survey Monkey, right? And they send out surveys, and they are maybe even a focus group, and they talk to people. But here's the difference between customer discovery and customer intimacy. Customer discovery, like I said, is asking customers questions, but here's what you don't get. When a person knows that you're surveying them, it changes the results automatically. I'm going to give you an example of that. I was doing a focus group, and people were being paid like $20 to stop by and answer some questions. But what I did was I changed clothes, put on jeans, I went in the room, and I pretended that I was there to get the $20 too. Didn't tell them that I was the CEO or the owner of the company. I just showed up too. And all the people were sitting there filling out our survey. That's how you learn about customers, by asking questions. Except here's what happened. Somebody said to the other people, "What did you put for question 6?" And all the other people said, "I don't know, it's a stupid question. I didn't even want to answer it." And somebody else said, "Well, if you don't answer question 6, we might not get the money, so just put something in there." And I said, "Ay, Dios mío, that's the worst piece, the most important piece of information in this whole survey is that everybody thinks question 6 is dumb and no one cares about it." But I would not have got that in the survey results because they all would have answered it because they thought they were supposed to. So how do you get real data out of customers? The answer is you live a day in their life. And so I'm going to share with you a story of how I learned that from somebody. So I had the chance to spend this day with a man who was very successful in America in the retail business. And in his business, well, let me tell you this. He had built a business that a lot of people said, the experts said, this won't work. You can't do it this way. And he did it anyway, and it was working. And I said, all the experts said your way, your idea was a bad idea and wouldn't work. So how did you know to do it? How did you decide to do it anyway? And he said, "Oh, Jeff, that's easy. A farmer told me." I said, "A farmer?" And he said, "Yeah, I didn't listen to the experts." He said, "I spent some time with farmers and they told me what to do." And I said, so me and this gentleman were spending the day together. We sat down for lunch. And I said, "Can you tell me the story?" He said, "Sure." So he said, "Jeff, this picture I'm showing you now isn't really his employees. It's just a picture." He said, "This is what my employees look like. They're well educated. They have MBAs. They have degrees in finance and degrees in supply chain logistics." I said, "Well, I don't think that's a problem. That sounds good to me." And he said, "Here's the problem." He said, "These are my customers. My customers are farmers. These people live in the big city, my employees. My customers live out in the farm, out in the country." He said, "These people, my own employees, they don't live near these people. They don't shop in the same stores. They don't eat in the same restaurants. They don't have the same life as the farmer that's out in the cafe in the country now." I said, "So what did you do?" And he said, "That's easy." He said, "I bought some farmer clothes." And he said, every other Friday, I would leave my office, I would change clothes, and I would go sit in the cafe, drive out to the country, to the small town. He said, and I would go listen to the farmers and just talk to them. They didn't know I owned a company. They didn't know I was building one. I just spent a day listening to their life, what they need and how they get it and where they get it and what they care about and what they consider a lot of money and little money and what's too far away. He said, the farmers taught me how to design my business. And that man, I mentioned his company earlier, the man that I spent the day with was named Sam Walton. And Walmart is the single largest bricks and mortar physical store chain in the whole world. Walmart is. And he built it by spending time listening to farmers and pretending he was one of them. So let me tell you some advice, something that I do. I would schedule every other Friday as a CEO. I would schedule every other Friday and I would tell my team, I'm not going to be in the office today, don't call me. And I would change clothes and I would drive to wherever my customer is. If you're building a product for farmers, you should spend a couple Fridays a month on a farm with farmers, not selling them, not doing a survey, asking them. You could say, hey, can I help work on the farm today? Spend that. I had a product that I was looking at that was for school children. So I went to a school and I said, is there any way I could just come spend the day at school? And the most information that I learned was sitting at lunch and outside on the playground with all the fourth graders and not speaking, just listening to them talk. I learned so much about how to build an educational tool for children their age by just spending a day with them. So spend a day in the life of your customer to develop customer intimacy. Next, just got a few more points because I want to make sure we have Q&A time today. Next, focus on operational excellence. What does this mean? We were very well. Part of the reason that the company Booking.com, which includes Priceon.com, the whole company, became one of the most profitable companies in the world. What helped it become a nearly $90 billion company was the fact that the company was really, really efficient. What does really efficient mean? It means that you don't spend your time doing things that don't matter. Okay, that's really, really important. And I want to share with you, I want to share with you a story about how I learned that as well. But I want to show you something. So what the lesson we're about to do is to make sure that every day, everything you are doing at work is actually getting you closer to your goals so you don't waste any time. By the way, for me, I've had business ideas that failed too, but I'll tell you what, I failed really fast. And I failed fast because I didn't waste time. When we succeeded, though, we succeeded with very efficiently and pretty fast because we made sure that every day, everything we worked on actually was taking us to one of our goals. So I want to share this. This is what used to be written when I was a CEO. This is what was written on the door of my office. It said, ideas are welcome here, but execution is worshipped. Why did I write that? I wrote that because everybody has an idea, everybody talks, but very few people actually execute. And what I'm telling you is don't spend forever talking about an idea and trying to get it perfect. Just pick up a shovel and start digging. Get started, get off the couch and start. It is only when you jump in and start building your idea that the world starts helping you out. The pieces don't come together when you're sitting on the couch thinking about it and talking about it. They come together when you jump in and start working on something, and that's the only way you start to get feedback and find out what works. So this gentleman, this day that I was with, he and I were speaking at an event together, and he had a small flower shop in the United States when I had first met him. And his flower shop was 20, there were 25,000 little flower shops in the US, and he was at number 24,000. Tiny, small volume. But he had built his flower company into a company that is now, it's called 800 Flowers. It's the world's largest volume seller of flowers. And I said, how do you go from being one tiny little flower shop, and this applies to any of your businesses, to becoming the world's biggest? And he said, I'm going to tell you, Jeff. And he said, come to me to the office and I'll show you something. So we went to his office and he did something that I would challenge you to do. I did it when I got back. He asked everybody in the office, he stopped each person and said, what are you working on right now? By the way, what it says on the wall of his office is sell more flowers. That's why we come to work every day, to sell flowers. And so that's written on the wall, which I encourage you to write on the wall where everybody can see it, including you, every day, the fundamental reason you're doing this, right? What are you trying to do? Deliver more meals, whatever it is, cure more diseases, whatever it is, write it. What is your sell more flower? So we had sell more flowers written on the wall. And what he did was he stops people in the hall and he says, what are you working on right now? And they tell him. And he says, how does that help us sell more flowers? And the two answers. If the person in the office can explain how the thing they're doing right now helps sell more flowers, he says, carry on, great work. If they can't, he says to them, put that down and go do something else. So I tried that when I got home. I went back and I wrote on the wall. For us, his fundamental thing was sell another flower. Our fundamental transaction, what makes your business work, why are you there, was to get heads on pillows, to get you in a hotel room. So until someone's head hits a pillow because they bought a hotel room from us, there's no reason for me to be at work. So I went back and started asking employees, what are you doing right now? And how is that going to sell another hotel room? And sometimes my own team wasn't sure how the thing that I asked them to do, the work they were doing was helping sell more hotel rooms. And so we started saying, put it down and go do something else. So now we have a rule that even though I'm the CEO, if I go to somebody and I say, could you please do this for me? They can say to me, it doesn't matter what my title is. They can say to me, I'm not sure how that helps sell more flowers, so I'm not going to do it. So make sure that everything you do every day is helping you sell more flowers. Write it on the wall and get focused and stop doing all these things. Your to-do list might have 18 things on it, but 3 of them actually sell more flowers. And the other 15 are things you think you need to do. Stop doing. Okay, now I think this is my last section, which is about building a great team. An important realization for any one of us. I've written only one book ever. The book is called Scale. And one of the first things I say in the book is you can't scale. You cannot grow your business until you can get out of the way. And you cannot get out of the way until you surround yourself with people smarter than you. Your job as a leader is to surround yourself with people smarter than you. But then there's another thing to do. After you surround yourself with people smarter than you, you need to trust them and you need to empower them. And so a lot of times people in a lot of countries say to me, well, it's hard to trust people here. Well, you know what I'm going to tell you? Then you need to look harder. One time somebody said to me in his country, people don't trust each other here. And I said, okay, so that means I should stop trusting you immediately? He said, no, you can trust me. And I said, well, wait a minute. You just said you can't trust people from my country, but you're from the country and you told me to trust you. And he said, well, then I guess you can trust some people in my country. I said, then go find those people. Okay? It's hard. He said, it's hard. I said, guess what? Winning is hard. You don't win a gold medal by not trying very hard in anything in life. So it's important to know that the scarcest resource in the world is not funding. A lot of times when I ask people, what do you think you need to grow your business? They say funding. We need money. That's not true. The scarcest resource in the world is talent, not financial capital, human capital. There are way more people in this world that will write you a check than there are absolute rock star people that you could find that could help you build your company. That's where the win is. Our companies grew, and our companies were the best. I remember walking down the hall one day in my company, looking at my employees and thinking, if the whole world changed tomorrow, like it did, actually in COVID, but this was long ago, my team would still win. My team would adapt and they'd think it through and they'd figure it out because I have the best people. The best team wins. So part of your job is to not spend all of your time running the company anymore, but to spend some of your time finding people smarter than you to run it for you. You only grow when you let go. And you can only let go when you have amazing people around you. So here's the lesson that I want to tell you on this one before I wrap up. You need to, well, let me put it to you this way. How do you find talented people when you're trying to hire somebody? You do a job posting. The problem is some of you might even pay a talent recruiting service. But here's the problem with job postings. The people that respond to a job posting most of the time are the people that lost their job. They're looking for a job because they no longer have theirs. The best people in your industry probably aren't looking for a job because they're doing really well. So you get lucky sometimes, but for the most part, the best people in your industry are not going to respond to a job posting. They're also not going to come wandering into your office and saying, please hire me. So what I learned that I encourage you to do is also one Friday a month, one day a month, I leave my office and I go out talent hunting. What I mean by that is I go out into the world looking to those people, and I think this is my last, one last thing to tell you. So I'm going to give you a quick example of that. One day my company started to grow, and I'm an engineer, as I told you guys. I'm not trained in human resources. Yet I realized that I was the one that was interviewing people. And I was like, wait, I've never been trained in how to interview. I'm an engineer. So I decided it was finally time to hire somebody to run human resources for me. But I knew no one was going to wander in my office. It was really good. And they weren't probably going to be part of my job posting. So this is what I did. I asked people, where do human resources people hang out? And everybody said to me, SHRM. I was like, SHRM, what is that? They said, it stands for something, Society for Human Resource Managers. I never heard of it. So I Googled it. And I went on the website, and there's a trade association for all the human resource managers. And on the homepage, it said, don't forget to register for this year's annual conference. So I registered, and I went to the conference. And when they make your badge, they say, what job do you have in human resources? I said, none. They said, well, this is a human resources conference for people that work in human resources. I said, I know. So when I went into the conference, there were 1,000 people, and they were all human resources professionals except me. And people looked at my badge and said, you're not in human resources? I said, no. And they said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm shooting fish in a barrel. I said, there's 1,000 of you and one of me, and I need someone to do human resources for me. So I found the most amazing woman to run my human resources by going to a human resources conference, not by waiting for her to appear in my life. Schedule time to go hunt talent. I'm going to close with one last quick story for you guys, and then that will leave Matthias. That will leave us some Q&A time. Here's the story. Before I tell you the story, I want to tell you this. Excellence is an attitude. For everybody listening, if you want to build something great, everything that I just told you is work. It might not be the way you're doing it, but everything I told you is work. And a lot of it's hard work. Going out and hunting for talent is hard work. Going out and spending a day with farmers is hard work, whatever it is. But I just want to tell you that a lot of times I've given talks where people have said, okay, yes, and they've taken notes. Then as soon as they go back to their office after a conference is over, they're busy again, and everything they were excited about goes away. They go back to doing what they were doing. So I just want to tell you that excellence comes from the people that do what needs to be done and don't make excuses. And they create a work habit of doing the things that need to be done. So this is the last story I want to share with you. Many years ago, I was helping this guy. This is Michael Jordan, the basketball player. He asked me to help him with a business he was trying to build. So I was working with Michael Jordan, and one day when he and I were going to lunch, I had to ask him a question because I was watching a game when he was playing basketball, and it was at the end of his career. And Michael Jordan was already Michael Jordan. He already won all the championships. He'd already made all the money, won all the trophies. He was already he was already Michael Jordan with all the world championships and the MVP rings. Yet in this game that I was watching, it was late in the game. Michael's team was winning. The Bulls were winning by 20 points. There was only minutes left. and they had already made the playoffs. So what I'm telling you is the game was meaningless. And at the end of the game, one of Michael Jordan's teammates threw the ball to Michael, but he threw it over his head. There's 10 players on the court, 5 of each team. The ball was clearly going to go out of bounds. All of Michael's teammates and all the other players looked at the ball, headed for out of bounds, and they just turned around and started walking back the other way. I was watching this at home on TV. Michael Jordan, without thinking, not a second of thought, turned around, ran as fast as he could, put his foot just inside the out-of-bound lines, jumped in the air, caught the ball, threw it back to his teammate, and then crashed into all the laptops at the media table. And I said, can I ask you something? I said, I don't understand. You're already Michael Jordan. Why would you do something like that? And he said, you're right, you don't understand. He said, I am Michael Jordan because I do that. He said, the way you become Michael Jordan is that you do what it takes every day, every play. He said, I made a decision at the start of my career to chase every loose ball and never even think about it. If I play every play like it's the most important ball of the game, then that's how you become Michael Jordan. I never forgot that lesson. I'm telling you that because today we talked about a lot of work, a lot of hard things to do. But the winners are the people that say, look, I'm just going to work harder than everybody else to make sure that I'm the one that comes out ahead in the end. So, Matthias, I'm going to turn the share off. And I left time if anybody has any questions that you guys can bring.
Yep, I'm back. So, well, first of all, Jeff, incredible presentation. It's can you hear me well, right?
I can hear you fine, yes.
Okay, perfect. So we have people from different parts of the world, actually. One from Tunisia was texting, and people from Nice and in Europe, and also in Latin America. So thank you, all of you guys, for watching today. Also, this incredible lecture from Jeff. And there's a few questions in
Sure.
live. So anyone that has more questions, you can text it as well within the live, and I'll be asking here directly to Jeff. So here's one from Pamela, and I believe it's based on the problem that you were talking earlier. How do you actually measure a problem is big?
Say that again, measure it at what?
That a problem is big enough.
Okay, so it should, let me just say this. If it's that hard to, you might not like my answer. If it's that hard to figure out, go solve another problem. It should be, if you need science to figure out how big the problem is, there's some bigger problem in the world. So when I'm standing in the airport and I'm looking at how crowded it is, it's pretty intuitive. Nobody wants to stand in line. If you have the choice between a long line and a kiosk when you walk into the airport, you're going to go to the kiosk. I didn't have to. And how big is it? Well, there's airports everywhere, right? All over the world, and there's lines in it. So it should not, the answer to your question is it should not be scientific. It should be pretty obvious that it's a large market. A lot of times when people are doing pitches, right? And I watch these pitches, and in the pitch, they have these market size things because some investors told them to do that. And the market size thing says it's a $400 million market, and we're going to get 1% of that. And they do all that. That stuff's just silly. It's either a big market, it's not. It's either obvious that it's a big market, or you should do something else. Now, I'm not telling you that you might not succeed at something that you have to do a lot of work to prove the market size. But what I'm telling you is the world is filled with problems already that are huge, giant global issues facing the planet. Go pick a big one that no one is going to say, how big is the problem? And you say, really, drinking water? You need to figure out how big drinking water is, right? Or food security. A lot of people don't eat. Well, hey, Matthias, exactly how many people don't eat? No one's going to say that. They're going to say, we need to feed people. We need to get them water, right? So it is a good question. But what I'm telling you is pick something where no one would argue whether it's big because it's obvious. You'll have an easier life if you do that than if you pick something where people say, I don't know how big that is. You'll have to prove it to me. That was a good question. Thank you.
No, thank you so much for the answer. And there's another one based on the solution problem that is, can a solution bring together multiple problems? So I'm trying to understand that the person's question is, maybe if it's good that your solution actually tackles a lot of different problems or not. Uh, there, if you want to write something extra, if I'm asking the question right, but the little question was, can a solution bring together multiple problems? So I assume that it's the way
Okay.
of
So
solving
no,
something.
yeah, I think that's good, Matthias, and it might. But what I'm telling you is, I had a slide up earlier that said execution is worship. Executing is hard. Building the actual product, the solution is hard. Customer service is hard. Sales is hard, right? All that stuff is. So if you're trying to solve three different things, you're just making your life very complicated. So my answer is yes, your solution might solve three different problems. But the companies that we see that achieve that explosive growth early and grow from something small into something really big tended to do so by being really, really expert at one of those problems, not by saying we can solve three different things. So I'm not telling you no. I'm just telling you your chances of growing faster and bigger are better if you're really focused at being the best at something, at being the best damn bookseller on the planet, or whatever it is.
Perfect. And then there's another one based on pricing. How have you been able to find the right pricing so your customers would come back to you?
That's one of my favorite questions. And here's why. Um, Here's the secret no one will tell you about pricing, okay? Nobody anywhere, I'm going to say this, Matthias, nobody anywhere knows how to price anything, okay? I deal with thousands of businesses everywhere. There's no magic app called Price Me, and you just touch it and it tells you the price of a product. The truth is, markets make prices, and prices come from two different ways. Well, three. One of them is competition. Sometimes the competition has already messed up the market and it's hard to get around it. But that one I don't worry about. Typically, people price things two ways. They do cost plus. They say, it cost me $100 to make this thing, so I got to sell it for at least 140. So you're basing your price off of your cost, but that's not the business you really want to be in. The truth is that the best kind of pricing is value, and value is determined by a market, right? Pharmaceuticals, as a bad example, but there are some medications that have 5,000% profit margins because you have to have it and you have to pay whatever they charge for it. But if you think about a lot of tech products, the reason that tech products and tech companies are valued at billions of dollars is because people value a service like Google. Having a service like Google had a lot of value to people when it was created, and it's reflected in the value of the company. So anyway, the answer to your question is, markets make prices based on what they perceive the value of your product to do. So the best you can do is look at competition, look at history, look at your costs. But the truth is, then just start somewhere. Stick a number out there and say, this is my best guess at a good price. The market will fix it. What you have to do then is be responsive, right? If people buy it immediately, it's probably priced too low, right? If people don't buy it at all, it might be priced too high. If they buy it, but they complain a little bit about your pricing, you got it exactly right. People should buy it and complain about the price, but still buy it anyway. That's when you got it right. So unfortunately, there's not a science answer to how to price things, but don't sit there forever trying to optimize it. Price it, put it out in the market, and then pay attention to how they react. The market will tell you what the price of your product should be.
Well, thank you so much for that one. And here is another one based on the pandemic that we're actually living. So in a COVID area, how are travel companies innovating? What is your vision on that?
Sure. They are, well, you said travel companies. Sorry, I was starting
Yeah.
to answer the more generic answer of just companies. Travel companies, it's tough. They are trying to find additional services and experiences that they can deliver to customers. So a lot more people are spending a lot of time in the digital space. And if I can't go to Machu Picchu? Can you bring it to me? Is it virtual reality experience? Are you creating more virtual tours, 360 tours? Are you offering me? Here's some other things. Why do some people go to some countries? They go there, let's just say if it's for the food. Well, I'm seeing companies that are trying, or the music, the sights, the sounds, they're trying to package digital experiences to let you virtually and digitally go visit Cusco or wherever it is you want to go, places that I can't get to now. So people are trying to figure out, if you have a world where everybody's online, but they can't go physically to the place they want to go, can you bring it to them? If I can't get to Peru, somebody needs to bring Peru to me. So I'm seeing a lot of them are trying to find ways to take advantage of the fact that I'm already sitting at home and the fact that I already have this technology to at least bring me some travel experience that I would pay for. But I'll be honest, it's tough in travel right now. What travel really does is they spend every day dreaming about vaccines, because when we can get a vaccine around the world, people will travel again. It's just no easy answers for that industry.
Yep, totally. So let me just ask the last question and we wrap up.
All right.
If a startup has limited money, how can we hire talent people with low budget? Like how you bring those talent people that you mentioned?
Yeah, so you're going to have to do two things. You're going to have to sell them. First of all, the most talented people in the world don't just want money, they want a piece of the action. And let me put it to you this way. When I was a young engineer and I got a job at a big engineering company, and I came up with a product idea. This is a real story. And it came up with an idea, designed the product, presented it to management. The company built the product. I actually built it. And they made millions of dollars selling it. But I was an employee. So when they came to me, they said, here's a 2% raise over your salary. And I said, you guys made millions. And they said, it's our company. And I said, why am I here? My ideas, my blood, sweat, and tears, my hard work, so you guys get rich? That's ridiculous. And what I wanted, they said, well, we can't give you ownership of the company. And I said, well, then I'll go find somewhere I can get it. So what I'm telling you is the most talented people, yes, their salary is important, but there's two other things to these really good people that they care about besides just salary. They want ownership, whether you're giving them equity, a piece of the company, or if you can't do that, give them a bonus program that's based on performance. I used to tell my people, I can't give you much salary now, but you're the one building the product. And as soon as the faster you're betting on yourself, the faster you build the product, the faster we can sell it. And as soon as we sell it, if we sell 500 instead of 100, I'm going to give you a percentage of sales. I'm going to give you everybody bonuses. So what you want is somebody that took a job. I'm going to make this numbers up. You want someone that took a job for a $70,000 a year salary, but actually made $300,000 that year because you gave them so much bonus money. Because if you have that problem, that your people are making too much, that's because the company's making so much. So they want a piece of the action, but they also want something else. They want impact. Really, really talented people that are evolved. They don't say, all I care about in this world is my salary. Just give me my check and I'll go home and sit on my couch. Those people aren't going to build a great company anyway. The kind of people you want are the people that say, part of my reward, I need my salary, I need to eat. But I also came here because I can't believe how many single mothers' lives we've changed. It matters to them. So when you go to them, you tell them, I can't pay you much now, but you're betting on yourself. Let's get this product out quickly. We'll all just have to, eat. We'll all have to eat less but as soon as you finish the product, you're betting on you. We'll start selling it. And when we do, I'll share I'll share with you in a bonus. I'll give you ownership of the company, and we'll get to go visit the single mothers whose lives we changed. Those people will respond to that. They don't want a job that's only a paycheck. Just like you. One time somebody said to me, nobody really smart will work for free. I said, are you stupid? He said, why would you ask me that? And I said, I thought you were pretty smart. He said, I am pretty smart. And I said, what do you get paid? He said, well, I don't get anything right now. I said, well, that's crazy, because you literally just told me smart people won't work for no paycheck, but you're smart and you're working without a paycheck. So apparently some people will work for a short period of time without a paycheck because you're doing it yourself. For many of you listening, you might not be able to pay yourself yet. So don't be telling me there's no one in the world that'll work without money. You're doing it. Obviously, there's people like that. You just need a few of them so you can get to the money faster, and you need to sell them something besides just a paycheck. So I apologize that we had to do this from the airport today. There was a flight
No, incredible.
cancellation. I actually have to head over to my gate now. I hope this was helpful to people, my friend. And thank you very, very much for having me today.
No, I really appreciate your time and actually being on the airport. We didn't have like a lot of noise in the background, so it actually it sounded incredible. And thank you so much for all of these insights, everyone looking at us and then just hearing again the report. Thank you also for joining today, and I really appreciate your time, Jeff. Have a safe trip and see you soon.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.